new, company.
Right.
There's no S&P, there's no rating, there's no nothing. You have to do your internal credit rating. And when their internal credit rating is questionable, they're going to start investing, all these subprime, because basically all these subprime, you put money into them, you don't know if the money is going to come back or not. And then, maybe you're charging them 10%, whatever it is, but it's just, I don't think this happened in one day. I think they must have known this for many years, and it just, when the Feds are raising the rates, they did not move quickly enough. Maybe they're thinking, the Fed's going to stop at 4 or 3.5. They didn't think that the Fed was going to go all the way up to 5 or, 6 and even 7 or something like that.
Right.
And of course, when the Fed is raising rates, crypto is going to crash. If you have good dollars on a 5%, why even bother with, crypto? Crypto was there. It was just there to, take place of the dollar, because it was zero interest, and crypto was getting much more interest. But once Fed start raising rates, it's bound to crash. It's like a bubble. It's a dream. Bubbles burst.
Right.
So.
Right. No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. The thing with Silicon Valley Bank is it was poorly mismanaged, because they weren't managing both sides of the investment of the curve, the interest rate curve, and they were hit by a double whammy. They were hit by rising rates. They had heavy exposure on the back end of the curve, and their portfolio of depositors in terms of absolute dollars were too heavy in startups. It was too heavy in companies that were not viable. Most startups are not viable.
Exactly. They're like babies, you don't know they're going to survive or not.
Right.
They're basically the same as subprime. Because there's no rating, there's no credit rating, there's no historical data, nothing.
Right. So they'll always when you're talking about the different rounds for seed rounds, they're always talking about what's your burn rate, the burn rate of the capital. So people invest in the capital, and the whole goal is to burn the capital at a slower rate. But these startups are not viable. Most of them are not viable. So when everything started to crash in crypto, anyone that had crypto exposure, they had to start withdrawing their accounts. It affected the bank. They need to heavily regulate. They need to heavily regulate crypto. Heavily regulate it. It's a speculative, derivative market.
I have a conspiracy theory. You want to hear it?
Yeah, what?
I have a heavy suspicion on the bank run. I think it was designed to have this bank fail. I really don't believe. Do you really believe?
If they wanted it to fail, then why are they
I don't fucking believe it. I don't believe this, okay? I think somebody's trying to get back at... Look, first of all, Silicon Valley Bank is a very rich bank, right?
It's a rich bank, but it hasn't been around for that long. It's only 40 years.
So the bank run is planned. I think the bank run is planned to destroy the Silicon Valley Bank to get back at the Fed. I really believe that, because now a lot of fingers are pointing to the Fed that the raising the rates was too quickly and that the bank was not.
Yeah, but here. All right, I'll be devil's advocate for the Federal Reserve. Okay, if we don't raise rates, we end up being zero bound and have the same problem that the BOJ has. And the Federal Reserve is trying their hardest to prevent the same issues that the BOJ had.
Yeah, but
this is the growing pains of getting out of a zero bound.
Yes, but who who is really gonna hate this? The crypto people, right? Because they know.
Yeah, but they were
lose
investing
money,
in
right?
something that wasn't viable.
Yeah. So, and therefore, to get back at the Fed, if there's a huge, the crisis created by the crypto.
You can never fight the
people,
Fed, though. You can never fight the Fed.
The Fed has to stop.
The Fed will always win.
That will slow down the process.
You never fight the Fed. When it comes to trading, you never fight the Fed. You go in the direction of the Fed. The Fed is going to continue rate hikes because they have to control inflation, and they have to get out of zero bound.
Yeah, theoretically, I totally agree with you. But you see, these crypto people, I don't trust them. They don't want to play by the rule. They want to keep their money because people are withdrawing their money, right? Withdrawing from crypto. That they don't like that. And maybe they need more time to turn around. Maybe they were in talk with the Fed. And do you think the Fed did not anticipate it? I think the Fed knew that there could be a bank run on crypto. You think they're really blindsided? All these people working for the Federal Reserve, all these scholars, economists, smart people, they're going to not think about, first of all, how much money is in the entire crypto market? Who they don't know. The Fed must know.
I don't know. It's probably, $1 trillion or so.
Do you really think that they don't think this would happen? I think they probably know that this would happen. But
well, anyone that sees a market go up so quickly, like Bitcoin, so these cryptocurrencies, that shows that there's a lot of volatility. And then when you have a lot of volatility, that's not a stable currency. So any person that thought that crypto was going to be stable, it's a speculative market, and you cannot have a currency that goes up too quickly or goes down too quickly. You need something stable for just normal economic activity to take place.
Yeah. But have you ever
Crypto will never
people,
work. Will never work in a normal economic environment.
Have you ever talked to people who invest in crypto?
Yeah, it's like a religion to them.
Yeah, it's a cult.
Right.
It's like a cult. They're so sucked into it that they can't leave.
Right.
Once they have to wake up from the bubble, they panic.
They're almost like Mormons.
Yeah. I don't know about Mormons.
They're like Mormons.
But they got so bought into with themselves that in view of the Fed raising the rates, they should have pulled their money out a lot earlier, and ride a wave of the but then somehow they're still duped into not leaving, because and also the second problem is, why is it only Silicon Valley Bank? Lehman was not just one Lehman. There were other banks that had the same thing at the same time.
My understanding, the reason why Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank were collapsing at the same time was their exposure to Silvergate. And Silvergate, my understanding, was tied to crypto. So there is this connection to the crypto market failing.
Yes.
These exchanges failing, FTX failing, people pulling out their money, people realizing you can't easily convert your crypto coin to dollars, and all this.
So
there's no bank that's willing to do it. There's
it's all Federal Reserve's fault again. They're not regulated properly.
Crypto should have never gotten this big. I knew that this was like it was like tulips. It's the whole tulip festival.
Why did it not regulated? Why they kept saying, it's.
I think the reason why, honestly, there's two reasons. One reason is that I think that there was money laundering going on with the Democratic Party through FTX, with
Okay.
FTX, and I think that they wanted to grow in an ecosystem using blockchain, because I think blockchain can be a benefit to certain companies. And then once you build up the infrastructure, you piggyback the digital dollar from the Federal Reserve. So let
I
this
think-
let this infrastructure balloon out, and then destroy that infrastructure, or destroy the coins, and then just piggyback off of the blockchain, and just institute a digital dollar. Because we're gonna see in our lifetime the elimination of coinage and dollar bills. It's all gonna be digital.
Not in America.
No, I think so. I think we're going to the digital dollar.
Maybe other parts of the world.
I think by 2026, or 2028, we're going to actually see the digital dollar being used, and it'll be phased in. It won't be like I don't think it'll be like one morning all the coinage is gone. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be a slow titration out of coinage, but the digital dollar is here. I mean, basically, it's here already. I mean, everyone's just using their iPhone and their bank card to do purchases. So there's no psychological change really. I mean, I very rarely purchase anything in dollars or coins.
Taxes, I mean, people still have the right to pay with cash, People still have the right to receive cash, pay with cash.
Yeah, but once the Federal Reserve
that's
decides...
never
once the Federal Reserve decides not to print...
Look, I'm going to tell you, digital money is a lesser of an evil than crypto.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, we don't even know what's the industrial exposure to crypto. Nobody has any data. Nobody is counting, like how much is out there. Like 3 trillion, I don't know how much is out there, and the Fed.
It's all fake too. It's all fake.
I think maybe they did it on purpose. They knew that crypto was gonna fail when they were raising rates, and they just want to see them fail, and they don't mind seeing another a market crash.
Well, they had to raise rates because one of inflation, and two they have to start paring down their balance sheet.
Yeah, I know, but the fact that they also knew that as it happens, crypto is gonna fail because everybody's gonna, flocking back to the dollar. They knew that, but they just don't want to do anything about it. Just want to let it explode and effectively destroy the crypto market.
Well, I think it's destroying itself. It's destroying itself. I mean, I think their desire to not fall in the same trap of the BOJ is probably a bigger reason why they're raising rates than to try to. I don't think that the Federal Reserve is raising rates just to destroy crypto.
I'm just saying that in the back of their mind, they knew that crypto was going to bust, and they know that as it happens, crypto is going to bust as a side effect. But they don't care. They want it to bust. They want to destroy that market, as they are raising rates, and they don't care. Because who are the kind of people who invest in crypto? Like rich people, right? People who have a lot of money, a lot of cash, and I think
it's a very speculative market that is going to end up crashing. But we're going to be piggybacking the infrastructure for the digital dollar.
Because let me ask you, what is the point for the Fed to protect the crypto market?
There isn't.
There's no reason.
There's no
benefit for the Fed to protect the crypto market.
Right.
They could have done something more to regulate it. They're not going to regulate it because they wanted to self-destroy. That's it's better than taking out some big guys in the meantime, and the money will all come back to the Fed just like that overnight. Instead of regulating it, going all through all the pain, I deal with these regulators. I tell you, they're not.
I don't think regulators are very smart.
There's some evilness going on.
Oh, you think so? I think the regulators are just dumb.
Crypto knew that it was going to come. They just live in their. They just think that it was never gonna. I don't know. They live in their dream or something, and that when it happens, the Fed doesn't have to do anything.
All I know is that all I know is in the currency market, the euro once the news came out with Credit Suisse, the euro started tanking relative to the USD, and the yen was strengthening. So those are all risk-off signs. And we peaked today, intraday, we peaked at almost 30 on the VIX. And oil sold off hard today.
Yeah.
So these are all risk-off situations, and the Dow is still trading down 370 some points. So
I think all this is temporary because I think the Fed knows that it would be able to contain the crisis, and European countries, they're able to come out, because everybody learned from the Lehman crisis, right? So they all have, things in place.
I have a theory on this. I have a theory on this.
Unless the crypto market is bigger than they thought, if they're in the ballpark of anywhere near Lehman, exposure,
No, I don't think the exposure is. I don't think that the cross-party exposure is like the mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah, so it's not as serious as Lehman. It's not as bad.
Right. So it's not as bad. Two, we have a much more informed population in terms of the internet being able to disseminate information than we had during Lehman. We have facilities already established at the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, and at the Treasury Department to quell systemic risk quicker. So what I think is happening in the market, because of technology, more people are trading on different systems like Fidelity or TD Ameritrade or whatever. I think what's happening is that the market is like almost the human body, and it's when there's a hemorrhage, it'll clot the hemorrhage quicker than years ago. So it's the market senses there's a problem, and it heals at a quicker rate. Things mean revert quicker. What I've been noticing, things mean revert quicker. No, things. Things. It's almost like the market is acting like the human body in an immune system and in a clotting system where it will get information and then start a whole cascade of things to try to heal the market. And things, if this happened in 2008 or even in 2000, the market would have dropped even farther. But things heal quicker. Probably because of electronic trading, there's more algorithms tied into this. Different facilities at the international market and at the central banking level to intervene now than we did before TARP and all that. So I see things healing quicker. So I do think that we're going to be moving into the next 60 days. Maybe we'll hear a couple more bank issues. I don't think that they're going to fail. They may have to be backstopped.
No.
But I think the market will start to move. At the end of the year, the market may actually go up.
Yeah, this is very temporary and short. Unless, like I said, they don't know the exact exposure of crypto. If crypto exposure is much larger than I thought, then it would be a real problem. But otherwise, this is a rich people problem. Normal. I think. Yesterday I was watching the Taiwanese news on the Silicon Valley's, thing, and they didn't give specific reason as to what basically all of them just say it was a bank run, the people start pulling out. They didn't say why, like we discussed, but they were evaluating all the American banks, deposit to loan ratio, which is one of the most basic ratio you can look at. They say that most American banks are sufficiently funded with deposits, like Chase is as much as 50% deposited. So they say that American banks are, quite okay in position. So from the Taiwanese news, they feel like, this quote unquote crisis is, is not going to affect the general, banking system in America. They don't think so. It's not like Lehman. So if you know, if the market is down because of this, maybe it's a good time to buy. You know, like you said. But just be careful with your exposures. But they don't think it's going to become a large crisis like Lehman type of crisis where, you know, basically all the little people, like last time the Lehman crisis was because all the little investors, were all affected. They couldn't get their money back. You know, some of them like, you know, commit suicide. You know, their life savings are gone. Right? But this time, everybody's going to be saved, right? I mean, American Treasury just keep printing money, you know, everybody's ass is going to be covered. It's just like, you know, some banks is going to fail, some banks is going to go down, but I don't think it's going to be systematic. So all this fluctuations in the market, you know, repositioning and all that, you know, they might have to take a hit on their balance sheet, but I don't think it's, do you really think American banks are so stupid to put all their money in crypto just to make a few $1,000? I mean, I know crypto is high and low. There's a lot of space to make money quickly, you know, with all this fluctuations, you know, and then short-term, trading and stuff like that. But I don't think the American banks, okay, I don't know about private equity funds and all that stuff. I don't know. But in terms of banking system, I think we're pretty good. And I think Europe will be okay too. Asia, I don't know. Asia, I'm not sure of. I mean, China, they don't allow it, so they're fine. But the rest of Asia, I don't know. Maybe the Singaporeans, you know, they like to do this kind of stupid things. But I think in general, we're going to be fine. You know, there's going to be some pointing fingers and shouting.
Well, I don't know if, you know, what's going on with the banking industry today will lead to further bank failures. I suspect that some other banks will fail, but I think it'll be contained and the market will eventually start to go upward. You know, I think it's going to be bumpy, but I think by the end of the year, we may actually have a positive return on the S&P 500.
You see, by destroying the crypto market overnight, just like that, means all the money is going to come back to the Fed again. It's going to come back to, you know, your big brother Sam, you know, all the money, right? So now they've got all the money again. You know, they can give out all the money to cover everybody's asses, you know. So everything works out in the end, right?
I don't know about that.
Where are those people going to go? You know, crypto crash, but they're not going to take the money out. Of course they're going to take the money out.
I mean, you know, there's the coiners, you know, the miners that have coin, and then you have the actual ones that are playing the derivatives market.
Wasn't it a Japanese guy who invented crypto?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know who.
I heard the original crypto was invented by this Japanese guy or something.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's really Japanese or it's just a code name. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Pseudonym.
It remains as a mystery, but.
I don't really follow crypto because I never really bought into the economics of it. The economics to me, it doesn't fit the fundamentals, and so because of that, I never touched it. In addition, I think the technology is building a surveillance state, because through a digital currency that is on the blockchain and there's metadata to it, they can track your every move in real time.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
And so I think anyone that invested in that type of technology just helped build the surveillance state. So just that alone, I didn't. Then you add in AI. Then you add AI reading the metadata and doing predictive analysis. Then you got Minority Report, just like in the movie Minority Report. So it's a
scam.
Honestly, I think it is. It's a psyop. It's like a psyop. They move people to think that there's it's almost as if crypto was initiated by some sort of operation within the government to grow it, get people to buy into this idea, invest into it, and then have it be taken over by the government, and then a digital currency will ride on the backbone of the technology.
Also, it's a tax evasion, isn't it?
Well, I mean, some people.
I mean, nobody knows can look into these accounts, right? The government cannot look into these accounts, right?
Right now.
I mean,
right
they're
now.
technically not a bank or a financial institution.
Right. So I mean, it's like dark money. That's why they call it crypto. You know,
it's not like they get license, from the Fed, like, oh yeah, you can operate crypto. I don't think they have that kind of license.
Yeah, but the thing, right? But the thing is that there's a ledger. Well,
yes.
Some coins you can see the ledger, others you can't. Well,
once you make
the digital, the government, when they go digital, then they do the digital dollar. Then they're gonna see the ledger, and they know exactly what you're doing at any given moment. Anyone that bought into crypto and didn't see that 1984 was around the corner was stupid. Was absolutely stupid. And to think that the Federal Reserve was going to abrogate their power of coinage, their power of controlling the money supply, they weren't paying attention to real economics. And we're seeing it right now, it playing out. People cannot convert their coins to dollars easily. And things are collapsing now. Some of these exchanges, they're not viable. And these companies that were tied to Silicon Valley Bank, their company wasn't viable, and then the deposits weren't viable, and then there was a bank
You're
run.
absolutely right, because the Fed cannot see crypto, because crypto is almost like a game, right? It's almost like a whole separate, online thing that they cannot really control, and therefore they don't have to bail out crypto.
I don't think anyone really knows what individual companies' exposure to crypto is. I don't think there's a good way of measuring it. All they have to do is just bail the depositors. I mean, they could tell with a bank, and if they have a position.
But isn't it, because where did the cheese go? They took $100, converted to crypto. Now they lost $100, but how do I know where they put the money to? The crypto people took the money. I mean, somebody's got the cheese.
Right. I mean, again, there's two different markets. There's the coiners, and then there are the derivatives market. They could figure out what the exposure is on that derivatives market, because it's on a balance sheet. They know, I bought into the futures market, or I bought a spot position.
With digital coinage, right? You can hack it. That's a big systematic risk too. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
If you put everything on digital,
mm-hmm.
and somebody hacked it
mm-hmm.
and wiped out the Federal Reserve account,
right. Or just a grid down,
just a grid
down situation.
I think it's still important to keep cash as a fundamental. I mean, most people are using credit or debit card, whatever, but there are still a lot of people using real cash, because that's real, right? That is the real thing, right? I mean, the credit and the all that stuff. It's. I mean, I have money in my bank. I check into my account online, but I know that my money is being moved somewhere else. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You can't trace. You can't really trace where the money went. I don't know. I still think cash is king.
Well, it is. It is, and I mean, cash will, but cash. I'm for cash and coinage, because you can take it out of the banking system and you can put it under your mattress. I don't like digital because you're locked into their own reserve banking system. You can't ever pull it out. That I don't like. And then they can easily track you too.
While I'm watch the value of gold. I think it's gonna go way up. I think because gold is the most traditional derivative to dollar, right? I think gold would go up. For all those who don't believe in dollars, they're gonna go into gold, you know.
What it was, everyone wanted to play Monopoly, and you say that their Monopoly money was really valuable, and therefore everyone start using Monopoly money. See, someone could, if they have a printer, and just create Monopoly money, and say everyone is going to do their transactions with the Monopoly money and not the dollar bill, then people would have real value with the Monopoly money. But that's what crypto is. It's Monopoly money.
Right,
it's
right.
not real money. It's Monopoly money, and all it is a psychological game that's being played. That's saying, oh, this really holds value. But if it really held value, then why is there so much volatility?
And all those people who receive crypto as payment, now they're all in trouble, you know. But nobody's gonna bail them out.
Yeah, think about
right?
it. You buy a pizza with a crypto coin. All right. Let's say you're selling the pizza for $20,000 worth of crypto, or you know, all right.
Right.
When you order the pizza, it's $20,000.
Yeah.
But by the time it's delivered, the crypto currency dropped to 18,000. Okay, so you're paying. So when you made the order, see what I mean? If the volatility is so great that you can never really do a true transaction that takes a little bit of time for delivery, one of the parties is making or losing money. You don't have that issue with the dollar bill. The dollar bill is the same dollar value when you order a pizza and it's delivered than the crypto, because the crypto is constantly changing. There is no stability. If you don't have a stable currency, it cannot be a currency. It's not viable. So all these crypto people, they don't know what they're talking about. It's going against hundreds of years or 1,000 years of economic theory.
Right.
Oh, everything's different now because it's digital. Everything's different now. But you know the thing. Eventually you're going to have to inflate the current, even if it ends up being a stable currency that is used. Eventually you're going to have to inflate it because economies grow. I mean, if we took all of the gold in the world, all right, and eventually all the markets, all the economies in the world reached a steady state, all right, where all right, there's no inflation, okay, but then there's this normal trend of growth because of societies, or just there's a normal trend of growth and productivity. You're still going to need a larger money base, an M2, right? So if you're not increasing your monetary base to the natural rate of growth of the society, it's going to be deflationary. So you'll have to fraction the coin. So it's going to end up being inflationary, just like what has happened already. But what is interesting is that if people use real-time data that's on the blockchain, if the Federal Reserve used real-time data from the blockchain, they could instantaneously change the money supply at any given moment to make sure it's not inflationary. That's the beauty of digital currency if they did it correctly. Instead of them making policy every quarter or every month or whatever, they could be in real time. What is the amount of money that is needed in the economy at any given moment? And they can adjust it in real time and never be inflationary.
Yeah, but that would create a bubble. I think that would create a bubble because you're covering up the wound without really fixing the wound. If there's going to be a natural inflationary, then you can't.
No, but if the economy is growing at 3%, If the economy is growing, if the real economy is growing at 3%, but your money supply is only growing at 1%, that's contractionary. The money supply has to grow at the rate of the economy. But if the economy is contracting, the money supply needs to contract. And therefore, it's never inflationary. The problem that we have is that we don't have fine-tuned policy. So so whenever there's a crisis, a banking crisis, they just inflate. They just inflate and inflate. You can't have a real banking crisis if you never inflated in the first place. If you have excess cash that's floating around, then you're going to have hot money going to some market. And that market will end up being a bubble. But if you instantaneously contract the money supply to prevent excess cash from being used in hot markets, then you're going to have a less volatile but more stable marketplace. It won't grow that quick. You won't see. I mean, think about it. Why should a bank grow 34% in 1 year in terms of revenue, or go up in the stock price 34% when the economy only grew 5%?
Yeah.
That's inflate. That's showing a sign of a bubble. That's showing an inefficient market. But to me, it's in an ideal world, we should not have 15% growth in a certain sector. It should grow at this. It should grow. It should, if it's matured, it should grow no faster than the natural rate of growth, which is around 2%.
Well, with the invention of technology and everything, 15% is not impossible. I mean, look at, when Facebook or Twitter,
that's not a matured market, though. I'm talking about matured markets. I mean, banking should be a matured market. Banking industry should be a matured industry, right? Yes, why? And it should be more like a utility where there's not a lot of volatility in the stock price.
These banking fuckers, they always look for ways to try to, make a quick buck here and there. You know that, so they get themselves into trouble. They can't blame the government. I mean, they did it on their own. I mean,
Credit Suisse. I don't know if I'm reading this right. Credit Suisse is trading at $2.18.
Who?
Credit Suisse.
Credit Suisse?
Yeah.
Buy. Should buy. $2? Are you serious?
Let me double check this. Let me double check this.
Wow, but there's another reason why the Fed is raising rates so fast. I mean, of course it's inflationary and all that, but they also need money. They need the dollar to come back. They need all the dollar from the world to come back to support the war in Ukraine and
Credit Suisse.
Support the U.S. economy.
Credit Suisse Group is selling right at this moment in time. The bid is at 1.9. Now, if we look at it, if we look at a 10-year chart, in 2015 they were trading at around 29.
Okay.
In 2021 they were trading at 14. And they've been dropping precipitously since this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it the war with Ukraine?
I don't know what. We may actually see the failure of Credit Suisse.
How come Credit Suisse fail? I know that they have.
I didn't realize they were that. Honestly, I didn't realize they were that weak.
Well, what's the problem? It can't be because of crypto.
No. I think it's just bad management. The Swiss don't know how to manage things.
Well, I know that Europe is not doing well because of the inflation.
Well, Swiss. There's
no
way that the Swiss government's going to allow Credit Suisse to go under.
No, there's no way, and that's not their real value. What the fuck for 1.9? I don't believe that. They're like the rich largest bank in the world or something, besides Deutsche Bank.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that Deutsche Bank is having problems.
Yeah, they said, actually, when I was watching the Taiwanese, they mentioned Deutsche Bank might have a larger exposure. No, actually, when they say when they were talking about European banks, they're mostly talking about the inflation in Europe. That's more of a problem than crypto. The banking system is not good because of inflation, as well as the political, the war with Russia. Russia is this war with Russia is it's a systemic risk. So maybe they're withdrawing money from the bank. All the investments have to stop, or they're losing investments. And inflations are affecting a lot of companies. But I don't know what's their book value. I mean, I don't know. What's the real value on their books? Maybe they're being undervalued. I don't know. But I don't know what's the interest rate for euros right now, but I think dollar is still the strongest, and I think it could be a systematic concert. It's a concerted effort to have America being the highest interest rate to get all the money to US dollar so that all their assets could be protected, because the war with Russia, if you have a fucking nuclear war coming to Europe, the first place you're gonna go is United States. All the money is gonna go to the dollar.
Oh, I think the safe haven. I mean, we are the risk-free rate. We are. I mean, we've been the risk-free rate for decades. So, or 100 years almost. Maybe even more. I mean, so because we're the risk-free rate, we're going to be the safe haven. What I've been watching in the business news here, and I'll tell you, some of these institutional investors, they're pushing for invest in China, invest in Europe, invest in outside the United States, and I'm like going, I don't think so. I think
China is pushing for investment in China again, but this time around, of course a lot less people are going to believe it because they all been burned. Every single one of them been burned. They said there was this very famous American industrialist. He has factories in China and all that stuff. He's trying to pull out of China. China would not allow him to pull out his funds. They said, okay, you can pull out your funds, but you have to tell us for the last 20 years, how did you make your money? How did you accumulate your wealth in China? Every single trade, tell us every single trade, and how did you do it? And he said, fuck that, he's not gonna do it. So this very famous investor, Scott Fund, I forgot his name, but supposedly really famous. So, he's really pissed off with China right now. And I don't think any sane, small little people will probably still be wrapped into China's, sweet talk again. But I bet you, it's not going to be many. It would be foolish. I think everybody in the world knows that, But the war with Russia has to end fucking soon, like tomorrow. No, seriously, because if you have a war with Russia for half a year, I think maximum 1 year. I think Europe can still withstand it, but anything more than 1 year is just gonna bleed, because everything is gonna be impacted. Trade.
Yeah, but I don't think a wider war is going to happen with Russia.
Huh?
I think it'll be self-contained. The Russian war with Ukraine will be contained just between those two parties. I don't think it'll extend to other parties within the European Union.
Oh, no,
I'd be surprised that Russia extends it.
No, the sentiment right now is Russia is they think that Ukraine is Russia is defining the war with Ukraine as it's against NATO. So NATO is in a very bad position right now, whether they should get more involved, in a more direct way with Russia or not. And Russians are, betting that NATO is not going to make a move. So if they keep hitting on Ukraine, they just hit on Ukraine, and the entire Europe is going to suffer basically, because all the geopolitical system is all going to suffer, and. And America is not going to let Europe sink. I think they should really just, have some balls. If Trump were in power, I think things could be very, very different. And I'm not even sure Biden is really serious about fighting the war or not. I know that some people are calling.
I don't think Biden is making the decisions. I don't think he knows. I think he's too far gone to even make decisions. I think he's just reading off a card. I think someone's telling him what to say.
I just don't understand why is Russia undefeatable. You heard about all this, bad equipment. Last year they did a terrible job. So who's supplying that military?
Well, I think you're making a good point. Is it the Ukrainians fighting so good, or is it that the Russians are fighting so bad? I think the Russians are fighting really bad.
Yeah,
not so much that the Ukrainians are so good at fighting.
They still have weapons. So the question is who's supplying them? Who's supplying them weapons? Because everybody is suspecting that Russia's going to run out of money, and Russia is going to collapse like Soviet Union. But it looks like it's not happening. It looks like Russia is still very strong. So is China backing Russia, or to get back at Europe and and the United States, or I don't know, or the West not doing enough to support Ukraine to fight, Russia. I really think that, let's just take away the facade, and everybody just go into Ukraine and fight off, Russia from with a real effort, not just like, oh, I give you some of this, I give you some of that. It's not enough. Ukraine is struggling, and that is the bad sign for everyone. You want Ukraine to look like they're they be able to fight off Russia, but the war with Russia, it doesn't look like Ukraine is on the upper hand. It still looks like they're being hit really hard, and that looks really bad for the West.
Check this out. In the news, 4,000 legal professionals at one of the world's largest accounting firms are getting a chat bot to speed up their work. See, people are, they're already trying. This is I guess PwC. Yeah, PwC. Yeah, so they're having their lawyers access an AI chatbot to do their work. This is the beginnings of a downfall, because now you're having professionals that they have to spend a lot of time studying and take bar exams and licensing exams and all this. And they are going to be augmenting their workload with an AI that will eventually supplant them from their job. And this is probably going to happen. They won't need it. Once they speed up their work, they're going to realize we don't need 4,000 legal professionals. We only need 2,000. And then it'll go down and down and down. It'll say we'll only need 500. We could do the same amount of work or more work with 500. So the number of lawyers that are needed are going to be diminished. These chatbots, these AI bots to help workflow and all that, I think it's dangerous. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to hurt the labor force drastically. I mean, if someone is only working, let's say, 4 days a week,
well,
how do they pay for a mortgage?
The problem is that this is a trend of the future. There's nothing to stop it unless
people need to make this AI
unless
thing
the
illegal.
government comes in drastically to
They need to make it illegal.
squash this.
Hmm? They need to make it illegal. It should be illegal.
Well, it's not really. No. I look at it from another point of view because I watched the Taiwanese news and they were saying that basically chat box already been hacked by the communist China. So it's not really about what they tell you. It's about what you tell them, and the other side is all listening. It's basically a spyware. I mean, of course they're smart. They could be very useful. They could write your thesis paper for you, a master's degree thesis paper for you, and all that. But the real purpose of this chat GPT is a spyware. They want to know what you're thinking. They want to know what you're up to. And you voluntarily give them your information. It's just like Alexa. It's it's an upgraded version of Alexa. Alexa is being known for listening in, responding when they're not supposed to, and doing all this weird stuff, right? I mean, people know the risk, but they still use it. It's unavoidable. It's just it's unavoidable. It's the future. But how is the government going to regulate it? It's up to the U.S. government. I mean, we can't take away the freedom for people to use this kind of stuff. I mean, if they didn't. I mean, it's hard.
I don't think that it should be legal to use artificial intelligence
to write papers.
No, to replace workers. We need to have laws in place where it stops that from happening. Because the AI bot doesn't pay taxes. The AI bot doesn't buy groceries. The AI bot doesn't buy homes. So what's happening is that it's decoupling labor and capital. And when you decouple labor and capital, you're going to end up having a deflationary economy. You're not going to have a growing economy. And because we already are laden with debt with the bond market, who's going to pay the coupon payments when everyone's getting laid off? And the robots are taking over. The AI bots are taking over. So it's a systemic risk. This is why I think that it needs to be killed. I mean, I don't see any difference. I mean, even in Terminator kind of hinted at this. You let this AI just be unfettered, unregulated, and it'll end up becoming weaponized. It'll end up hurting the society. AI is not a good thing. There's a sweet spot where there may be some, important discoveries and usage cases, but I think that's only 25%. The 75% is going to be nefarious and it's going to hurt people's well-being.
I still remember that really famous case where this chess player was playing against the IBM machine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the very first case of,
Right, and the chess master said that it seemed as though the computer, I think it was Watson.
Watson.
It seemed like it was thinking. From the human perspective, that it seemed like it was thinking.
Oh.
So the chess master couldn't tell the difference between the bot and a human being. So this is a problem. It's a problem. And then Boston Robotics and DARPA and the DoD, they're creating weapons with these robots, and this is going down a road that could be very dangerous.
But the surprising thing is, actually, I was just, thought about this because the war with Russia, between Ukraine and Russia, right? And the weapons that because Taiwan actually covered extensively every single day the progress of the war with Russia and the type of weapons that the Ukrainians are using, the Russians are using, and stuff like that. The funny thing is, all the technology they were using are still very backwards, But the consumer robots like ChatGPT, is so much more superior compared to military type of AI. Military AI, you still have to control it, you have to tell it, you have to, calculate it, and it's very slow. With all these advancements in robotics and stuff and AI and stuff like that, just looking at this war, you realize, oh my God, it's still, as much as, they were saying that, so, all these advancements and all this stuff, but it doesn't reflect in the war, because if the West is so much better at technology with AI, robotics, and stuff like that, we would have won the war already. We would have be able to see, the Russians coming from 50 miles away and just kill them all. I still don't get why this war is not ending with all this superior Western, technology.
Well, you don't want it to end too quickly because
and chips.
Yeah, but you don't want it to. Yeah, but you don't want it to end too quickly because you got to make money, right? War is money.
Yeah, but now it's looking bad. Now it's looking really bad because they're not able to end it, and now China has to get involved. And I'm actually thinking to myself one day, I was so disappointed. I thought it was gonna be like a Superman, like a Marvel movie, where all this shiny, flashy weapons are gonna be used by the West and obliterate fucking Russians, just like that. And they're gonna drop the bomb on Putin. How, like what happened to the Iranian scientist? They dropped the bomb on him, precise at such a precision. That was under Trump, right? But at this time around, it's so just dragging and slow. It's not pretty. It doesn't look good for the West at all. I mean, of course they want to make money, but enough is enough. But it doesn't look like they're winning. That's the problem. With all this, technology, it's like, what happened? That fantasy that people think that, like you were saying, it's going to take over the world, we're going to have, we're going to lose force, we're going to lose humans and stuff like that. But, ultimately, if you look at this war with Russia, Ukraine cannot put up with Russia just by using AI and robots. They still have to use humans to control the AI and robots because they're just not superior enough. It's proven. It is not what people think it is.
Right, but the thing is if you look at World War II, the aircraft design and capability, especially bombers, were not as well designed at the beginning of the war compared to near the end of the war, and that was only over a 4-year period, right? So the point here is that in 4 years, artificial intelligence and robotics being used on the battlefront is going to be tested and improved, and it's going to be much farther advanced in 4 years than it is right now. And the war that we have with China may not necessarily start with advanced AI robotic kind of weaponry. It will definitely have drones, right? But when it ends, that capability is going to be far more advanced, because war always accelerates. It accelerates advancement in technology.
Yeah, but you see, the problem is, World War II, World War I doesn't affect the society that much, okay? Because, most people are poor, there's not much middle class, there was not much, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, people back then, they did not live the life that we live today. we actually are much more fragile as a society right now because we're doing well. But just a little bit of something will break our lives. Back then, in World War II, people were living in the countryside, in the farm, in dirt. It doesn't make such a big difference.
Well, they were
Today,
anti-fragile.
Our society, our lives are all already set. It's already set on the premise that there's going to be peace and prosperity, and therefore our systemic risk to our kind of society is at so much greater risk and so much easier to break than the society back then. It was much easier to rebuild back then, World War II, World War I. But today, you look at Ukraine. You spend 10 years building a tall building. You look at Manhattan. If they bomb Manhattan, we'll be finished. America will be finished. It takes so many years to all these years to build up our society, but it just takes one little bomb to destroy us. So we're actually a very, very fragile, state right now, and that's why this war is really bad, because I don't think people can deal with it. People just can't. We live without war for so many years. We it's always in Afghanistan. We never see it. We don't feel it.
Right.
But now with the Ukraine, especially Europeans, they built their lives from World War II, and all that. They are very fragile. They think that after World War II, with the NATO, with the UN, which is fucked up and not doing anything, it's going to protect them. But in the end, it's proven true. NATO and UN and all this shit, cannot protect them. And they're realizing that now, that their lives are at stake. That's why all the banks are doing so badly, because there is no commerce. There's nothing going on. And everybody's afraid that a war is going to break out. Imagine you live in Europe right now, Germany, right? Or Poland. I mean, anything, at any moment, if Russia breaks through Ukraine, Europe is finished. They're going to have to start negotiating with Putin. They're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices. And they're going to or they're going to get a nuclear bomb.
I can't believe that Adobe might have more market. I would have to double check, but Adobe might have more market cap than Credit Suisse.
Well, Adobe is doing very well with the technology.
No, it's trading. It's trading at $346 a share.
No. If you have it, you should sell. I think they're overpriced. Okay. How can Adobe have value of 300 Credit Suisse at 1.9? I mean,
that's crazy.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's.
Well,
we're so much more susceptible to these kind of risks now. Just a little bit is going to affect the financial market. It's going to affect this and that. We're so weak. I don't know. It's the technology making us weak. It's the advancement of civilization. All these tall buildings and computers. Are these things making us weak actually as human beings? Because we're so well protected. We're like living in the bubble. Maybe we should have a World War III to, just
toughen us up.
Set everybody, straight again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe.
Not that I want to, but I feel so weak.